Andy and Garrett. I think there's some product that's been brought here, but even just perusing the room, a lot of people have no idea what Cirkul is, and there's a lot that we're going to get into in regards to you making kind of that big announcement of being on the big stage. But all right, we're going to do an audible here, and I think this might even be a little bit better of a way to kind of showcase what you guys do. So at Brand Innovators events, we are often speaking to stewards of a brand, and it's not necessarily the founder or founding group that created a brand. You both are co-founders of Cirkul. Why don't you give us a little bit of a backstory of how the two of you met and how this whole idea percolated and came to be?
Yeah, so thank you for having us, of course. Cirkul was just started as an idea. So Andy and I played football together in college, and once upon a time in the locker room had basically a disposable bottle of water and a scoop of electrolyte sports drink powder. I don't know if anybody's ever tried to pinch the scoop and pour it in the bottle. It's a pain, you make a mess. And I looked at Andy and I said, what if you just had something you could just pop in a bottle and just drink it? And ultimately it became Cirkul. So Cirkul is a water bottle and flavor cartridge system. Fill up the bottle with water, and then as you sip, it enhances your water to your desired level with electrolytes. We've got energy flavors, we've got iced tea, iced coffee, just a ton of different types of beverages. And really what we landed on was a new way to deliver beverages. You think about the bottled beverage, it's been around for a couple hundred years. Bottles and cans have brought us a long way, but what we were fortunate enough to land on is what we think is an opportunity to have a platform for distribution that's it's more sustainable because it's 96% less weight. There's no water being shipped around. It's less plastic because the cartridge is multiple uses, 6, 8, 10 times. And then it's customizable. The notion that everybody in this room likes the exact same flavor lemonade, it's a bit archaic, right? So what customers tell us is they love that Cirkul helps them drink more water as their favorite beverage. So we're about a 7-year-old brand, fortunate enough to be made in America. We operate our own manufacturing, about 1 million square feet down in Tampa, Florida, and 1,000 team members. But just the growth that we've seen is it's pretty staggering. We've grown about 105% compounded for 7 straight years. So it's been very, very busy.
Andy, you're Chief Brand Officer. Talk to us a little bit about the early days. You entered a crowded space. This is not a space lacking for other options that might be out there from a hydration standpoint. So talk to us early days. What were the different things you were looking to highlight that made this product unique and something that consumers should try?
Yeah, I think one of the great things about Cirkul is really the product speaks for itself. So in the early days, we basically put up some ads on Facebook. There was like a pouring GIF of the bottle, and it was changing, the dial was turning, and it was a red stream coming out of it. And the next day, it was like shared 1,000 times. There was hundreds of comments. There was a bunch of likes. And this guy who now is our Chief Operating Officer, Phil McKeating, was like, guys, this is not normal. People don't share ads. People don't comment on ads. And he's like, I think something's there. So really it started with the product there. And we answered all customer service tickets early on in Cirkul's history, which was actually really beneficial to understanding the product, going e-commerce first versus having to fight for shelf space in brick and mortar. So we were really able to learn what customers wanted, get feedback, refine the product, and then really hit the ground running once we entered retail and expanded from there. And I think one other point about the product would be we went viral on TikTok during the COVID years, and really because of how differentiated the dial system and being able to customize the flavor works. So yeah, I'd say just the product itself being a new way to drink beverages is really what helped propel us.
Awesome. So we'll get a little bit into the product and how video has been really big and being able to grow the product itself. But let's talk a little bit about the reason why the both of you are here. This is kind of the glow-up week for Cirkul itself. You all are moving forward with a spot during the Super Bowl. And this is not something that willy-nilly you're going to make a decision on. You all have raised a lot of money. Latest funding round, I believe, was more than $70 million. Company's valued over $1 billion right now, which is amazing. What went into determining, like, yes, this is the move we want to make right now this week?
Yeah, I think for us, it was the culmination of a lot of different things. So for a while, when you're growing 100% compounded for half a decade, you're always chasing. So we were always chasing on the manufacturing side. So a big focus for us in 2023 was onshoring all of our manufacturing and operating our system internally. So that $70 million you mentioned, we spent all that on equipment. And we capacitized ourselves because the scale that we're operating at in the hundreds of millions of units a year, if you get behind, you'll never catch up. So there's one thing we focused on kind of, intently. And then last year was all about distribution. So nationwide rollout with Target, with Sam's, Costco, Amazon, Walmart, our cornerstone partner. So you take those two things and get to put them together, and being able to deliver for your retail partners and your customers, as well as our direct consumer business, and then being widely distributed, it was time for us to kind of make a big splash. Our aided brand awareness is sub 20%, household penetration is like 3%, and there's a lot of really thirsty folks out there. So we figured what better stage than the Super Bowl, of course, to tell people what we're up to.
So let's get a little bit into the whole Super Bowl spot that's coming up. We can't share yet what this is going to look like, but this is something also I think that's unique about being a founder is you guys have storytelling down in regards to how this really should kind of be seen by consumers. I believe the both of you played a very big part in ultimately what this ad is going to look like. Talk to us a little bit about the creative process that went into this, and ultimately maybe a little teaser about what we might expect to see during the big spot itself.
Yeah, we started thinking through the idea in early January of last year. We're kind of noodling on it, going back and forth a lot of early mornings, and then came to a concept that we think is really special and a lot of fun. And actually, we met our current CMO, Steve Batista. He came from a little apparel company called Under Armour and was there for about 20 years, helped grow them, and has done a few of these in his past. So we met with him, and he was like, yeah, typically I don't tell brands to do this. It's a lot of money, and are the eyeballs worth it? Unless you have a very good concept and some legs behind the spot. And then that was kind of his take initially, and then we gave him the idea, and he said, yes, you definitely should do this. So he was pretty excited and actually joined the team full time and has been leading the charge on this commercial. But coming back to it, Cirkul's really about helping people drink more water and being convenient, delicious, and fun. And we really think that this spot highlights it, and there isn't a better person we could have cast for this spot than Adam Devine. He did a great job, and what we love about him is he truly is a believer and loves the product and uses it in his daily life. So it's not just bringing some celebrity in to be in a spot and then be like, all right, peace, see you later. He actually uses it on his podcast. He uses it when he's working out, when he's at home. So that's been really neat to see, and help spread the word of Cirkul.
Awesome. So you have an authentic person there to be able to kind of tell this story. Can you talk, you got a lot of marketers in the room, talk to us a little bit about the different things that you all thought through from a metric standpoint that said, yes, this is something worth investing in. And then also curious, what are you both and the team looking for out of this? It's going to justify this as being something that was worthwhile.
Yeah, I think it's certainly a good question. And if anybody has a solution for attribution and you're not selling a software, like I'm happy to talk about it. But I think the thing that we take a lot of solace in, and hopefully some folks get to sample some products that our field marketing team has brought them in, but when folks generally understand that Cirkul exists, then they have a tendency to try it. And when folks try Cirkul, our customer repeat rate is in the high 70s. So we take a lot of solace in just the fact that if we can get the product in front of people, our aided brand awareness is sub 20%. So it's really about just telling people that Cirkul exists and letting them make the decision if it's right for them. And I think just having a product that's rock solid from an execution standpoint on the manufacturing side to the marketing, we got a ton of different flavors for everybody. We just believe your beverage should be as unique as you are. So really excited to just put it in front of folks and see what their reaction is.
And I really think, too, that this is the only stage around these days with like DVR and recording shows and muting commercials where the commercials are just as big as the game and people are really tuned in for that experience. And so that, I think, is what will be able to help propel that brand awareness. And then also we have a really exciting, some legs to it and a little surprise during the commercial that will help that campaign continue to keep on going.
Good cliffhanger. So you are in a space where there, number one, is very endemic into sports. There's also a lot of different options that are out there. Can you talk to us about how Cirkul has approached sport as being a tenet of the way that you are being able to either distribute the story about the product or, frankly, the product itself?
Yeah, I think one thing about our product, it really lends itself well to sports. I mean, Garrett and I, we played football together in college. Garrett, played in the CFL and cup of coffee with the Lions, so he was much better than I was. And when we play, you'd have your water, you'd have your like full sports drink, and you'd have half sports drink, half water. And what Cirkul allows, especially what we've seen, is like you're able to really dial in the amount of electrolytes or flavor that you want. You can, fourth quarter, you can really dial it up to a 7 or 8, and get those extra electrolytes you need, so you're not cramping. So I think the form factor of the product lends itself well in sports. And then two, I think it's just the convenience of being able to just bring your bottle, you take it to school, take it to sports if you're a kid after, and it's really, becomes something that's easy to fill up on the sidelines or at school or wherever you're going.
So it's a good segue. And we're here for what is the marquee professional sports event that takes place on a worldwide scale, frankly. And I'm a bit biased, but being in the youth sports space, we like to say that there's a Super Bowl Sunday taking place almost every week. And it's at youth sports fields all across the country. And youth is something, you just brought it up yourself, and it's something that Cirkul has leaned into pretty significantly. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that youth strategy has looked like? You brought up TikTok earlier as being a big part of how the brand was able to gain some legs and traction in the early days, but talk to us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, I think for younger consumers, you see the water bottle especially as a totem. It's like everybody's got a bottle. Kids going to school, kids on the sports fields, kids walking through the mall, whatever it is. And ultimately, I think that's our icebreaker. Is like you got to have a water bottle that you use in order to use Cirkul. I don't think that we're going to take folks who like cracking open a can of insert beverage and convert them to a Cirkul user right away. But the folks who like water bottles, I think we think about it from the aspect of giving you the flexibility to enjoy water as your favorite beverage, all the benefits of the platform, of course. And I think the younger generations, especially, innovation is a big part of it, and it's having the new cool thing. And when you see the fragmentation of consumer and just the angle that things are heading towards in terms of e-com first, personalization, sustainability, all those different things, we're just really timed really well for some macro trends that we're seeing in kind of those younger generations.
Yeah, and if you're mom and dad too, and you're having to send your kid off to school, I mean, at least for my 5-year-old school, they're only allowed to have water in their bottle. And that's what's special about Cirkul is you only have water in your bottle, but it can flavor. So it's really that only bottle that you can flavor with. And two, with parents, they're shopping or they're sending their kids off, they just want convenience. Here's your cartridge, you pop it in. That's like giving your kid a 6-pack for the day of different beverages. So that's been something too.
So we've heard a little bit about authenticity while we've been here, and that certainly seems like something the brand's able to lean into. Adam Devine is someone who's a user of the product, so that makes a ton of sense. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you're amplifying these different types of authentic spots, and Super Bowl commercial notwithstanding, how else are you all getting that message out?
We've had a big strategy with different reactions. I think one of the special things is sort of that wow moment when people first try Cirkul, because they just see water in their bottle, and then they dial it in, they take a drink, and that first sip they're like, oh wow, that's actually good, that's flavorful, and then being able to adjust up and down the flavor. It's a neat personal experience, and it goes back to the customization. It's personal in nature in how it's designed, and that's very purposeful and really what we try to highlight. And we show reaction videos or get in the hands of different influencers and trying to get as organic as possible reactions to help spread and use. And we use that in our ads across TV and social media or social networks or whatever it is.
So a lot of talk around TikTok, and something that was potentially going to go away, and it's something that the brand has leaned into relatively heavily right now. Can you talk to us a little bit about how the brand, number one, leaned into it to start? Talked about it a little bit at the beginning of this, and then talk to us too, what are some of the mitigation strategies that you and the team have been talking about, knowing that it is a channel that might not necessarily be available in the same way that it is right now?
Yeah, so we were pretty early to TikTok, and we were running ads back when there was no ads manager. We had to send in wires to pay for stuff, and it was pretty early on. It was pretty rudimentary. But I think what happened on TikTok was basically people would get the product, and we were seeding micro influencers. People would write in, and it doesn't matter if you have 50 or 50,000 followers at that point. This is late 2019. It's, hey, we'll send you the product, like try it out. And what we think happened was the algorithm picked up on people trying the product. They're like, all right, I got this Cirkul thing. I'm going to debunk it. It's not this cool. It doesn't work that well. They'd fill it up with water. They'd load it in a cartridge. Like, all right, I'm trying it. And they'd take a sip, and they'd be like, wait a second. This is pretty cool. And it was basically, I think it was like 30 different videos that went viral, over 1 million views in basically a month period. So we grew sales from December of 20 to March of 21, 300%. So that was pretty painful. And that was kind of the jumping off point for us. And I think the moral of that story a little bit is when you put Cirkul in front of folks, they like it. And it was funny kind of going into the TikTok era. We'd get letters all the time or emails from brand agencies. They're like, hey, we want to rebrand everything. And then after we went viral on TikTok, like, we love your brand. So I think it's to your point, it's about being authentic. It's staying true to what's brought you to where you are, and always be listening to the customer about what's best for kind of that customer as the North Star.
Makes sense. So mention some rapid growth that came from TikTok. It's also something that you could potentially anticipate coming following the Super Bowl commercial itself. What are some of the things the team's talking through right now in regards to being ready for what could be the most engagement you all, frankly, have seen on the brand side to this point?
Yeah, it's sure going to be exciting. It's kind of a wait and see moment, but we're prepared in every scenario. And I think one of the exciting things is how eager a lot of our retail partners have been into leaning in to this Super Bowl spot in the belief of Cirkul moving forward as well, bringing in extra product, different features, getting that branding across retail, our website, social media, all of our different influencer networks, the sort of "you got Cirkul" message. And that's going to be really key for this spot and moving forward.
Got it. So, again, a lot of marketers in the room. Curious, in both of your minds, this is a success because. What is kind of the thing that you're expecting to get out of this commercial specifically?
I think the simple metric would be brand awareness. Aided brand awareness right now for us is sub 20%. And people always ask, they're like, is Cirkul a fad? Like, well, fads you've usually heard of by the time it's kind of come around, and a lot of people haven't heard about us. So I think for us, the simple metric would be just brand awareness and just having so much confidence in the product and the legs that it has to show up for customers. Because Cirkul's a super personal product. It's different for the bariatric patient to the autistic kid. My niece has autism. She doesn't drink water unless it's Cirkul, and it's really neat to see people connect with a product for them. Even though Cirkul's the same to everybody, it's so personalized and so unique. So I think for us, the metric it's brand awareness, and I think the second thing I would kind of leave is I really hope that we're about to shock America, because what we're about to do has never been done before. I think people are going to pause and rewind and be like, did that actually just happen? There's a really neat in real life component to it that I think is it's going to be pretty awe-inspiring.
Amazing. So let's talk a little bit about the process itself with the Super Bowl ad. What is one thing that both of you wish you had known about this before jumping into this process from the start?
How quick 30 seconds is. So yeah, when we originally came up with the idea, Steve read our initial kind of storyboard, and he's like, guys, we're not making a feature film here. This is 30 seconds. So we had to trim out a lot of stuff that we loved. But I would say too, how much work goes into a spot like this. We've done commercials in the past, and I would say kind of the 360 and how much the team at Cirkul is come together. And that's not just the marketing department. This is the logistics for that in-person component. There's the manufacturing, getting up and ready for this, the retail team, making sure all of our vendors and everyone is up to date and has the product they need, and our different field team getting down here and getting bottles to all you guys. So really everything going into it it's been special to see. And then I would say secondly would be working with a great director, Peter Berg, who we're obviously fans of from him making Friday Night Lights, one of our favorite movies, Lone Survivor, and some stuff with Mark Wahlberg and a bunch of different great hits that he's done. It's seeing that professionalism, and he's a pro. It's, you imagine like Michael Jordan or whatever going to a shoot around and seeing how precise and accurate he is. He can say one thing and it changes the whole scene. So it's pretty cool.
Got it. And what would be one piece of advice you'd give to marketers as they're potentially thinking about, hey, we want to make the recommendation to leadership that this is something we should be doing? What are the things that is catching your guys' both ears and attention when something like that's presented?
Well, I don't know that we're probably capable of answering that in the manner that some of the marketers in here are. But I think, when we thought about the spot, of course you can do comedy, you can do drama, you can do irony, you can do trending, whatever. For us, it was about pattern interrupting, and it was about stopping the viewer and being like, wait, did that actually just happen? So for us, it was about being able to get people's attention in a really, really busy space. And that was the whole premise of the spot. So that was the big driver for us, is just being able to stop people and grab them and be like, yeah, this is really happening. That was the jumping off point for us.
And I think too, one thing Steve taught us was to make the most of the 30 seconds beyond the commercial, and that's leading up to the commercial and then post commercial. What can you do to really get your money's worth, and also like the eyeballs and the viewership too?
Can you dive deeper into that, Andy? Talk to us a little bit about like what channel strategy are you and the team putting into place that is going to help really extend it beyond just what that 30-second spot is?
One of the parts we can't explain yet, but that's the in-person surprise.
Fair.
And then I would say leaning into a bunch of different content I think we have geared up, ready to go, that builds off of the actual 30-second spot, with like whether it's extended versions or different cut-ups or creative things we're able to capture on set with Adam to really help amplify that and make it seem much bigger than just that initial 30 seconds. So yeah, and I think too, like in general, in terms of marketing, would be staying true to who you are and what your brand is, and not try and be anyone else. I mean, like Garrett said, we used to have people say, oh, you need to change all your colors to pastel colors because that was trendy for a while. And we're like, no, we're not doing that. So I would say, stay true to who you think the brand is and where you want to go.
So last question I have for you before opening this up to the audience. Favorite flavor of Cirkul that you would recommend to the audience?
Go sip blackberry.
And then I would say our Gateway sweet tea is extremely good too. I like the raspberry tea probably the best out of it, but they're like kids, you all like them. So I like them all the same, sort of.
Amazing. Well, appreciate you both joining. This is an incredibly busy week for you. Opening this up to the audience for any questions. This is a pretty cool opportunity to talk to two founders who are running a pretty big promotion here.
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing we do that's pretty unique is we come out with a new flavor every month for a limited time. It's called our Flavor Lab. So basically, it's something that keeps our engaged base coming back for more, and every month they're looking to see what that new flavor they want to add to their order and try. And it's something we've done for a few years now, but it's also a breeding ground for understanding what's going to work. And sometimes we bring that flavor, we bring it back in a year to retail because we already know, oh, that one sold out in 2 weeks. That one's going to be a crazy hit. So we're very data driven because of our own website and in understanding the customer, that we're able to take those learnings and apply them to retail where you have even more distribution and eyeballs. So I'd say that goes into it. And then I think it's really meeting people where they are with their current beverages. We're not trying to invent the flavor wheel here. We're just trying to give them a delicious tasting fruit punch. If it's going to be fruit punch, a delicious lemonade. If it's going to be lemonade, a delicious tea. If it's going to be tea. And really letting our form factor innovation in terms of being able to adjust that flavor shine and make the brands that we have look like what they're going to drink and feel. So.
Any other questions from the audience?
Yeah, I think we did a lot of kind of baseline studies in the last 3 to 4 weeks, kind of leading up to the spot. So we'll have a good baseline and kind of apples to apples measurement from a metrics standpoint. We had a great team member just join who has a bunch of background and time at Nielsen, so kind of knows that game certainly. But I think for us, we'll see it quickest on our direct consumer site. That'll be e-com will be the most responsive. I think we'll see the metrics there. We've done some pretty big advertising promotions. Mr. Beast we did a couple spots with last year, and you'd see the bump really quickly. And then really retail responses. Usually within the first week, you'll know if it's running. But I think the challenge for us and the team here is just going to be making sure that we've got that tentpole event, and then we're amplifying and keeping the kind of trains moving in terms of momentum throughout the year.
Cool. Any other questions?
I'd say both. Yeah. So like I think one thing is too that we've seen is the word of mouth amongst kids is a lot better than any other demographic. Like we see, you know, if we get it in the hands of a couple kids at school, then it's 12 other kids want it, and then those 12 kids have it, and then it's like 20 more of them want it. So I think it spreads really well amongst the kids because they all kind of want the newest and coolest thing. And I think too, we've advertised directly to parents all the time and go over all the benefits there are for their kids. And our Wild Splash line, which is for the younger group of kids, has done really well and been something that's resonated with parents, at least on our ads direct to consumer as well as in retail. It has its own space in Walmart and everything too. And it's done really well. So.
Great. Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, no, good question. So what customers tell us is the fact that a single cartridge is about as much plastic as a typical disposable bottle, and on average, customers get 6 to 8 refills of the reusable bottle. Folks like that it's sustainable by design, but one thing that we're going to be implementing in probably the next 12 months is going to be a circular recycling program where we'll actually take product back and regrind and remanufacture. And it's really just based on all the hard work of the team being able to stand up our own manufacturing domestically over the last 18 months. So it's something we're excited about. So I think other added benefit is a lot of the emissions, especially on the beverage side, come from the trucking. I think we heard a stat that like 1 out of every 5 trucks on the road is full of drinks, which kind of makes sense when you think about what's really bulky and like a lot of people use them. So the fact that a pallet of Cirkul product is the equivalent to a full truckload of fully hydrated beverages, it's one of those other added benefits. Good question.
Great. Any other questions? Well, guys, exciting stuff that's up ahead. Congrats on all the success the company's had to this point. Super, super excited for what the commercial is going to show. And best of luck the rest of the week.
Make sure you grab some Cirkul back there or over there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.